The Newman estate, usually a symbol of grandeur and wealth, had recently become a house of horrors. Victor Newman, a man known for his ruthless business tactics, had taken his cruelty to a personal level. The return of Nikki Newman, fresh from her successful battle with alcohol addiction, added another layer of tension to the household. One evening, a seemingly innocent conversation took a dark turn. Claire, a close acquaintance, had casually mentioned to Victor that Jordan, a woman Victor had imprisoned, had a violent aversion to the smell of Brussels sprouts. This piece of information sparked a sadistic idea in Victor's mind. His eyes gleamed with a cruel satisfaction, a look that did not go unnoticed by Claire. Victor's plan was as diabolical as it was simple. He decided to starve Jordan for 2 days, leaving her weak and desperate. Then, he would cook a lavish meal centered around Brussels sprouts, placing it tantalizingly close to her cell door. The goal was to force Jordan into a state where she would have to eat the food she detested most, ensuring her suffering was both physical and psychological. It was a twisted form of torment, one that revealed the depths of Victor's malice. Claire, disturbed by the glee she saw on Victor's face, decided to confide in Cole. She suspected that Victor's cruelty knew no bounds and that something had to be done to stop him. Cole, who had already been wary of Victor's recent behavior, agreed to keep a close watch on him. They decided to document Victor's actions, hoping to find concrete evidence that could expose his brutality. In recent times, Victor had become a recluse, rarely leaving the confines of the estate. His behavior was suspicious, especially considering his usually active social and business life. With Nikki back in the house, Victor's anxiety only grew. Nikki, now sober and more perceptive, was bound to notice the strange occurrences and the muffled cries coming from the cellar. Victor knew that if Nikki discovered Jordan, it would be the end of his carefully constructed facade. Victor's paranoia intensified with each passing day. He desperately wanted Nikki to move out, to go somewhere far from the estate where she wouldn't stumble upon his dark secret. But he was at a loss as to how to convince her without raising suspicion. Every time Nikki ventured near the cellar, Victor's heart raced, his mind filled with fear of imminent discovery. One evening, Victor decided to put his sadistic plan into action. He cooked the Brussels sprouts meal to perfection, the savory aroma wafting through the house. He carried the tray down to the cellar, his steps echoing ominously. As he placed the food outside Jordan's cell, he watched with twisted anticipation. Jordan, weakened and desperate, recoiled at the smell, her body betraying her as she gagged and retched. Claire and Cole, observing from a hidden vantage point, were horrified. They knew they had to act fast. Cole's phone discreetly recorded the entire scene, capturing Victor's sadistic pleasure and Jordan's torment. With this evidence, they hoped to expose Victor's true nature to the world. Meanwhile, Nikki, sensing something amiss, started to piece together the fragments of Victor's erratic behavior. The hushed conversations, the locked cellar door, and the occasional cry she thought she had imagined all pointed to something sinister. One night, when Victor was away on an errand, Nikki decided to investigate the cellar herself. Her hands trembled as she unlocked the door and descended into the darkness. The sight that met her eyes was one she would never forget. Jordan, emaciated and chained, looked up at Nikki with a mixture of hope and fear. "Help me," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Nikki's heart broke as she realized the extent of Victor's cruelty. She rushed to free Jordan, her mind racing with thoughts of how to confront Victor and protect their family from further harm. Victor returned to find Nikki in the cellar, the truth laid bare between them. His attempts to justify his actions fell on deaf ears. Nikki's resolve was unshakable. She vowed to take Jordan to safety and expose Victor for the monster he had become. The following days were a whirlwind of revelations and consequences. The evidence Claire and Cole had gathered, combined with Nikki's first-hand account, was irrefutable. Victor's empire, built on a foundation of fear and manipulation, began to crumble. The public outcry was swift and unforgiving. Nikki, with Jordan by her side, took the first steps toward rebuilding her life, free from Victor's shadow. She found strength in her sobriety and the support of her friends. As for Victor, he faced the harsh reality of his actions, isolated and despised by those he had once controlled.